Hello, this is the inaugural University Star Sports Podcast. My name is Jackson Cruz. I'm the sports editor with the University Star, here alongside sports reporter Caden Besant, and we are very excited to get this podcast off the ground. We'll be giving you in-depth analysis on all Texas State athletics, and we all have media access to all Texas State athletic events, giving us an inside intel. So let's go ahead and start off with men's basketball, Caden. So the team right now is a 12-11 overall, 5-6 in the conference, tied for 8th in the conference. So not really looking good for them right now.
No, they've been struggling, and it's been a lot on the offensive end, which when we were at the game on Saturday, we were at the press conference, Coach TJ mentioned that they're too focused on offense, he thinks, and then they need to focus on defense more because defense will turn into offense. And the offense has been struggling anyways. They haven't been shooting like they need to. And like he said, Arkansas State shot something like 65% in like the first half last Saturday. So, I mean, they definitely got to focus on the defensive side of the ball more, but they've got a 4-game road trip ahead of them, which is going to be challenging, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be challenging. Morgan and Drone being out right now definitely hinders their chances. Those are basically two all-conference players not playing right now. So it's not really looking good for the team, and especially with all teams making the conference tournament, it's hard to imagine they're going to be trying, not that they're not going to try their best, but maybe not having their best players on the court all the time just to rest up for that conference tournament that they will be in no matter what.
Yeah, I think it means that you take a different approach to the regular season games. It's not that they don't mean as much, but when you're looking at the health of your team and kind of just where you're at, there's a strategy that goes into the strategy of the games before the tournament. And I mean, like I said, they have those two injuries, Drone and Morgan. I mean, those are big, but they've also got a long road trip ahead. They're going to Virginia February 5th on Wednesday, and then they got to go to Michigan right after on Saturday, which that's a lot of traveling right there. So you wonder, like, how healthy are the guys that have been going on the court going to be? How well rested are they going to be?
Yeah. Hopefully for them, that'll give Morgan and Drone have more time to rest up before the conference tournament. Not sure if they will be back. I know Morgan's injury did not look good at all from what I've been hearing behind the scenes, and that it's not looking too good, but he could come back. We don't know for sure. Drennan he came back recently. He was out for a little bit, but it seems like he's kind of limited. But yeah, the team, it's not looking like they'll get a top 4 seed. The top 2 seeds get a direct bye, go to the semifinals.
Yeah, and I think the Sun Belt wants to award those top teams to try and get those top teams to almost guarantee that they make the NCAA tournament instead of them getting knocked out early in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, because you see a team like Texas State who makes a run usually these last few years in the Sun Belt tournament. They don't really want a Cinderella story. They probably are more focused on those higher seeded teams like Arkansas State and trying to get them healthy and rested and then in the conference chip, automatic bid to the tournament.
Right. And the same thing goes for women's too. Same tournament format. The team is also struggling right now. Like the men's team, they are 4-7 in conference play. They ranks them 10th in the conference. They've had a couple key injuries as well, like the men's team, so that's hindered their chances of doing anything. The bright side is they just snapped their 3-game losing streak against ULM on the road. Destiny Terrell hit her 1,000th career point. So that's a bright side in what has been a rough season for the women's basketball team.
Yeah, and just like the men's team, the women also have 4 road games and then 4 home games to finish up regular season before the tournament. But I think the biggest thing for the women's team is they've got to limit their turnovers. I mean, they're averaging 18.5 per game, which is like 298th in the country. It's hard, and the margin between 298 and 100 is not, it's very little, but you just got to be able to take care of the ball. And I mean, we've seen Jalen Foster. Jalen Foster's been doing good, but they've just got to operate as a team better and just protect the basketball, honestly.
Yeah, and it just, again, both the men's and women's team have had very key injuries that's hindered their chances, but the same time kind of shows the depth there might not be there, but really hard to compete when you have 2 players on both teams you're expecting to start regularly and are not. So if they're able to get their starters back, I think both teams look a lot better come conference play time.
It'll change a lot for them if they get those players back. Because that hurts. I mean, that's kind of what you focus your entire season around is the players that you've got, and then when everything has to change all of a sudden, it makes it hard on the coaches.
Right.
It makes a whole different challenge for them.
All right, well, it's enough of basketball. Softball season's coming up. We're a softball school. Let's get some softball action going.
First, I think we got to look at who they've lost. I'll just say two names off the top: Jessica Mullins and Sarah Vanderford. Those are key losses. I mean, Jessica's probably one of the best pitchers Texas State's ever seen.
She was probably like the best pitcher in all of college softball last year, like arguably.
She was top 10 without a doubt.
She pitched the most innings. Yeah. ERA was up there. Strikeouts.
Yeah, she did a lot. She did a lot for the team. But when I had spoke to Coach Whittard a couple weeks ago, she doesn't want sophomore Madison Azua, who is likely to be the ace pitcher for the Bobcats. She doesn't want her to pitch 300 innings like Jessica did last season. I mean, they're going to mix it up with the pitchers, and we just don't really know who those pitchers are going to be.
Right.
That's the question when it comes to the pitching. They've got Emma Stroud. She's a junior from LSU. She hasn't pitched much in her collegiate career, but it's like you don't know what she's going to do going from LSU, from the SEC to the Sun Belt. And then you've also got Presley Glenn. She's a senior, one of the two seniors on the roster. She's played every year, but her playing time has gone down every year. But then you think her playing time went down every year, but Mullins got older as well, and exactly limited her playing time. So be excited to see if she gets in there some. And I know that Woodard's going to mix up the pitching a lot.
I mean, once Azua's like a senior, she could very well be in the same exact position Mullins was in last year. But yeah, going forward, like you said, you're talking to Ricky, and that she said Azua will be splitting time with other pitchers. Even with losing Mullins and Vanderford, they also lost Hannah Earls, Anna Jones, Tori McCann, Carson Pierce, and JJ Smith. Some key players lost.
Piper Randolph too. She was huge out there in center field.
Yeah. Piper Randolph was huge out there. And then also there's just a lot of new freshmen on the team. It's just gonna look a lot different. You talked about this the other day, but it seems like players don't really transfer out of Texas State, right?
No, there's something that Coach Woodard's doing to keep these players in the program. I know they've had some players transfer out, but it's just in this new world of college sports, you would think a lot of people would come in and a lot of people would leave. But she's been able to keep the teams there and just keep building. Like last year for the 2024 season, they returned every player from the 2023 season on that roster, which is why they were so good. I mean, when you have that experience and just that team staying together, and they've got 12 people coming back this year, and I think that's going to be big for them because you have to establish culture, and with 12 returners, that culture is already somewhat established.
Right. And then with Trahan coming back, like if she's healthy, that will be key in their success, because last year they just kind of had Vanderford and other top offensive performers, but Trahan was out for like pretty much most of the season. She got hurt early on March, I think, against Baylor. Mm-hmm. So her being healthy will be key to their success as well.
Yeah, and they got 4 transfers. Emma Stroud, who I already mentioned, and then they've got Kate Bubella from North Carolina. She can hit. I mean, she had a .383 batting average last year as a freshman. And when I talked to Coach Woodard, she said they're really emphasizing building some power when they're in the batter's box. I mean, they hit so many singles last year, and they were scoring runs just single after single. She wants to establish some power, and so Bubella, .383 last year as a freshman. Ayana Coleman coming from A&M. She knocked Texas State out of the regionals in 2023 with the walk-off single. She can hit too. That's big. And then another transfer, the last one from A&M as well, Keely Williams, outfielder. She played a lot her freshman year, much like Trahan. She got hurt, missed a lot of time her freshman year. Didn't play as much her sophomore year, but we'll just have to see how she does. I mean, those injuries are tough. It definitely takes a toll on your career, but I think they got a good group of transfers, especially with it only being 4 of them. I think it'll work out.
Yeah, it just goes to show like how like much respect the softball program has when players from A&M, UNC, and LSU are coming here. So I think even with all the lost players, the team should have a good season.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also 8 freshmen coming in, but I mean, there's not much we can really say about the freshmen because we haven't seen them play.
Right.
So it's really just we're just gonna have to pay attention to.
And Azua was a freshman last year, yeah. So we never know. And then on the baseball side, Ryan Farber's a freshman last year. Like you never know when a freshman's gonna do really well and make a name for themselves.
Yeah, and that's what Coach Woodard was saying, is that they're gonna rotate the lineup day to day and game to game, and they're gonna see who can really handle the pressure of playing Division I softball, and so it'll work itself out. And like she said, there will be growing pains, which that's expected. But once the lineup is set, they're going to compete for a Sun Belt Conference title again, I think.
Right, and it is important to note that Zarate, she was seen on crutches. I know when you were there on the field. So we don't have any information on a timetable for a return, but crutches aren't necessarily usually a good sign. But
No, I usually don't
We
like
don't
to
know
see
anything. Yeah.
one of your star players in crutches. So not having her will be big, but then it's like, okay, well,
It
who's
was like
gonna fill-
Trahan was out last year and they still won the Sun Belt, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
You
yeah,
never know.
it's a big loss. And again, we don't know how long she's going to be out. So
Yeah, there's no telling if she's going to return this year or not. But I mean, just like with Trahan being gone last year, that allowed Sydney Harvey to get more playing time, and so she'll be a good returner. She's going to be a utility as she's listed on the roster this year. So probably going to need a utility. I mean, there's going to be spots to fill, so being able to throw some players around will help.
Harvey's very strong defensively. Should be seeing a lot of time filling in as a defensive replacement, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
And then on the baseball side, Ryan Farber, he was at D1 baseball. He was named in the
D1 baseball.
top 50 shortstops across all Division I baseball programs, which is a very good sign.
It's honestly surprising that he was ranked in the top 50 shortstops because we haven't seen him at shortstop in his collegiate career. That's the part that kind of confused me, but I mean, it gets you excited definitely to watch him play.
Yeah.
I talked to Coach Trout and Farber. I didn't know this, that's on me, but Farber was recruited as a shortstop, and they always knew he was going to play shortstop.
Right.
He was just so hot with the bat last year that they had to stick him in somewhere.
Exactly, yeah. And he's very athletic, so while we could kind of tell it wasn't his natural position, he still played it pretty well.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see how he does when he's comfortable at shortstop, especially with him and Moore up the middle.
Yeah.
It could be interesting.
Hopefully for Texas State, both of them have repeats of their freshman seasons. And we will be going more in depth on the baseball team in our pod next week as we preview the season.
Yep, they'll kick it off on Valentine's Day against Binghamton.
Yes, yes. And then softball will open up on February 6th against Arkansas, a ranked team.
Yes, Arkansas was ranked 13th in the USA softball preseason poll, which Texas State was receiving votes, 10 votes, I believe. One of the top 3 teams that were receiving votes.
So, should be an exciting one. It'll be in San Marcos at Bobcat Softball Stadium. We'll see if Texas State is able to win. That would just be a huge statement win to open up the season against
starting off
team.
the year against
definitely,
SEC school.
They're definitely not favored to win, I would imagine, but
it's a new look roster, so I mean I wouldn't be against them being underdogs, but Coach Woodard's going to have them ready.
Yeah, with the Zua pitching, I'm assuming she'll be pitching game 1. You never know what can happen.
Yeah, and that game will be on ESPN Plus at 6 p.m., I believe, on Thursday.
Yes. Very excited.
And then they've also got a game on Friday and then 2 on Saturday.
Yes.
And Sunday too, or no?
No, they don't play on Sunday. I don't think. But
doubleheader on Saturday, though.
Yes.
So 4 games to kick it off. They got 16 at home in a row. That's crazy.
Yeah, all the northern teams just come to San Marcos. Like I see, we're playing teams from like Illinois, Minnesota, both baseball and softball. So kind of lucky for them that they get to stay at home around this time of the year.
Yeah, especially with a team that you don't really know who's going to play. When you get to do all that figuring it out at home, it's just more advantage to Texas State,
right?
Honestly.
All right, that's all we got for today. Next week, we'll be previewing the baseball season, recapping softball and basketball games, and much more.